welcome to this update video. I hope you're doing great this morning, and we're going to be talking about what's happening across the Atlantic. And it is no doubt that it's been quite dry across the Caribbean and some surrounding areas. However, it seems as though there is going to be a system moving through as we head into the upcoming weekend and into early next week, and that may result in an increase in rainfall across some areas. So we'll be talking about that in this video. But for now, as we take a look at the infrared satellite, we can see some thunderstorm activity offshore the US and the Gulf and off the East Coast as well. And aside from that and some other systems moving out to the east, nothing is really happening across the Atlantic right now. A bit of activity associated with the intertropical convergence zone, but as we look to the Caribbean, it's dry for the most part. So as we're going to be heading through today, the story remains what it's been for a while now. Just a few passing showers at times in parts of the Greater Antilles, Lesser Antilles as well. Things will be on the drier side for the ABC Islands and even up to the Turks and Caicos Islands and parts of the Bahamas as well, and over into most of Central America. So in terms of any crazy rainfall for the short term, that is not expected right now. But down to northern South America, some of those areas, including Colombia, remains active in terms of the rainfall. It'll likely be a windy day today as well for most of the Caribbean islands. Winds up to 20, maybe even 25 knots, especially for the ABC Islands. It's going to be quite windy, and that's expected to persist through much of today. And winds will also be kicking up in the Gulf of Mexico eventually. Now, as we take a look at this map right here, it is showing all the dry air out there, and we can see that it is pretty much across majority of the Atlantic, and some of this dry air is associated with the Saharan air layer. So we've got more stable environmental conditions, and as a result, there is not any significant convection in the Caribbean or much of the Atlantic. But as I mentioned, we could see an increase in rainfall activity as we head to this weekend. I have been watching the models for some time now, so let's go ahead and take a look at what they have to show, and we're kickstarting things with Euro. So as we're going to be heading into this weekend, going towards Friday, we see that piece of energy moving through the Gulf and that area of low pressure developing offshore of the Carolinas. But look at all that activity stretching into parts of the northern Caribbean. So areas such as Cuba, Jamaica, even parts of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, going toward the Leeward Islands may experience some rainfall activity with this system moving through, and of course the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands as well. Next, we have the ICON model. ICON is showing something similar. We see all that activity moving through, all that rainfall expected as we're going to be heading into early next week. So this is for Sunday going into Monday, when the model is expecting that much of this is going to be moving through parts of the Northern Caribbean. And then finally, we've got the GFS model. So as we're going to be heading into Sunday of next week, there we can see all that increase in moisture in that low pressure system loitering offshore the Bahamas. And with that, GFS is also showing an overall surge in moisture near the Eastern Caribbean. So of course, I'm going to be watching for that. But that overall increase in rainfall activity for parts of the Northern Caribbean is certainly looking possible, although there can be changes with these models through the next couple of days. But as I said, I have been watching them for some time, and they seem pretty consistent on this upcoming system and the rainfall activity, which may manage to make it to parts of the Northern Caribbean. And so finally, we're going on to the total accumulated precipitation map. So we're kickstarting things with the Euro model here, and this is for the next 10 days. So even though it is the accumulated precipitation expected for the next 10 days, the bulk of what we're seeing is likely to be from that upcoming low pressure system this weekend. So we can see some of these shades of purples, these pinks, even those whitish shadings as well. So some of these rainfall amounts could be up to 4 or even 5 inches in a total. But for much of the Northern Caribbean, the rainfall activity can range anywhere from an inch going up to 3 or 4 inches as we're going to be headed into the next 10 days. So not all expected in just the space of one day, but within the next 10 days. And as I said, the bulk of what is expected is likely to be from that upcoming system. GFS is showing something similar, although showing a little bit less rain across some areas. but nonetheless we're seeing that increase in rainfall that is expected as that next low pressure system is going to be making its way through. And sometimes with these lows being so close to the tropics, they may manage to actually acquire some tropical characteristics. And even earlier in the month of March, GFS has been showing that late March we could see a low pressure system which may manage to make it to maybe subtropical storm status. Now that is not impossible, but it will all be dependent on whether environmental conditions will allow for that to happen. So there are above average temperatures across the North Atlantic, which will help to favor development, but there are other factors that have to be conducive as well. But as usual, I'll be keeping my eyes on what is happening and keeping you guys posted with my daily updates videos. Again, there could be that increase in rainfall activity as we head into early next week across parts of the Northern Caribbean. Unfortunately for the South, it's going to be the same story of those occasional showers moving by from the east, and sadly that is not helping out much with the drought conditions which are affecting many areas. So the rainfall increase will definitely benefit areas across the Northern Caribbean which are dealing with drought conditions. But for the South, nothing significant is expected for the short term. But no worries, the rainy season is eventually going to be kicking in, guys. You just gotta hold on a bit longer. So that is what I wanted to share with you in this updates video. I really do hope you found it to be very informative. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll respond to you when I get the chance to do so. And remember to always be weatherwise.